Gundam.tk presents Silhouette Gundam. Hey, what's up again, everybody? It's Robert184, 2Rs, 2Bs, Gundam Reviews.net, and today I'm excited to be bringing you part 2 of my review of the RXF-91 Silhouette Gundam from the manga that has a name that's just too long to say. Anyway, we've already seen the introduction, so now it's time to take a look at the parts from this old-school 1992 model before seeing it get transformed into the actual mobile suit piloted by Tokyo Randall. When he's all put together, here's what you're going to get for the main body parts, in addition to these parts for the weapons and accessories. Also, you may notice that in quite a few places I used a black Gundam marker just to get some blacking in there, because there were a few places where you can see it's clearly been done by the pros, where leaving it white would have just been not as sharp. Bottom to top, and the first thing that you're going to notice is just how brightly colored this whole thing is. It certainly doesn't look like something from 92 from first inspection, and it's only once you get up close and you see all the seals all over there that you get to see why this looks a little bit old. In terms of the parts, you're just going to put two parts together here. You're going to have an ugly seam line there down the front, but you can line it up. You've got a polycap inside. I put some black ink there on the knees, and the bend, yes, you're going to get less than 90 and nothing more. On the back, they advertise, yes, there's thrusters, and it even warns you of that, although it just has gibberish English on there. And when you flip it open, you're going to have an ugly-looking seal and a pretty hollow-looking knee, so you really don't want to show that off too much. A little bit of ink would have helped there as well. Where you do have some good chances, though, to put some lining in is down here. This is a red seal. This is one of the clear seals, whereas this is one of the silver seals. And by that, I mean the back of the backing, the adhesive part is actually silver. This yellow part is a seal. This is a clear one, and you've got the words on there. Again, an ugly seam line down the front that you can hide, and even though they give you a gray sticker, I chose to go with the black ink there. It's a little bit reflective in the light, but overall certainly doesn't add a bad look, except you've got this gray seals down here which don't fit very well down in the feet, so lots of details and lots of colors, but if you're looking at it in terms of a technical mobility standpoint, nothing to be fancy about. And just to show you how the whole thing's put together, you've got these fake pipes on the front that you could paint, and you actually have gray pipes there. Plug that into the ball cap, so you're just going to have a polycap that doesn't move in any way, shape, or form. And for the knees, you'll just have a polycap here. This part does not move when it's attached into the leg. Only this part is going to move, and that's why you're only going to get that much of a bend. A busy looking waist section again, and most of that is due to the seals, the lining, and the black ink that I put on. I actually chose not to put on one of the stickers there and just went with the black. But over here, you're going to have my least favorite thing about Gundams, which is when you're putting on stickers on rounded parts, and these aren't going to stay on very well. They're not even designed to fit on that well in the first place. You do have lining opportunities, so if you just wanted to put a black line around there, that would be very easy, but instead I went with the words. On the back, I've got some black, ugly ink that doesn't look very good, and hopefully you're never going to see that again because the Vespers may cover that up. But overall, I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed. I like these yellow seals, and I like the lining down there. This red part is actually built into the waist section when you put it together, so you don't have to paint that, and it's not a separate part. Now, keeping with the busy motif, the chest certainly is that, unless you're talking about mobility, in which case it's got absolutely none. No smiley face Stargazer style back there, and you do have two gray parts to hold the beam sabers. A solid attachment point there for the neck, but you are going to have the bonuses of these yellow parts are made for you, because on the A-plate when you get the chest, you're going to be getting red down here, yellow, blue, and yellow up there under the blue. I put in a little bit of black lining, but still very impressive. But you may notice that this white part is actually a piece of plastic, which is great. You can imagine that that could have been done with a seal, but instead you're going to put the words on top in seal form, and this black one, which isn't going to look that great. And these gray seals really do show up as being different from the plastic, the way the light reflects on them. And the fact that they're bent down there, you can imagine that they'll peel up over time. Some black inking in there, and this kind of seal, it's just a little bit too small to put into this thing. You're way better off painting, of course. But if you want to just cut off a little bit of the extra flak around the edge, then you can fix that. But one thing I found to be strange is that at the bottom you've got a blue chest part here, and what are you going to do? You're going to put on these gray Adidas stripes all over the place, and when you do that, you're going to have one of the more colorful chest units that I think we've ever seen on a Gundam. Certainly one of the most wordy. Similar to the F-91, it's got to be the shoulders that are the big selling point here, with the big RXF written on there, and this is again molded into the plastic. Unbelievable that Bandai could put red injection in there and have that come through in the form of the letters, so very, very impressive. Kudos to them for that. A little bit of black lining there, you could have put in a lot more. Some black over there. I've got the gray thrusters over here. These are able to move up and down ever so slightly, but they're not going to fit all that well, and nor do they seal up completely, so it comes across as being a little bit cheap. You've got RXF-91 there on the back, When you put the arms together, you're just going to have 2 white pieces and 2 white pieces, so nothing fancier than that. You'll see that there's some very poor opportunities for lining in there. My inking didn't go on very well, but that's just because it's poor plastic and it's inconsistent front and back, left and right. So you're going to have 4 different kind of effects down there depending on which plastic piece you put it on. And over here you're going to have a hollow part. These are not identical to what you're going to see on the left arm, because you can take a weapon and mount it on here, and for the hand, you're going to have that gunmetal gray and 3-finger trigger finger split. Here is the forearm weaponized, and it's actually really cool to have that sort of a little bit silvery gray on there. You've got a white sticker on there, 2 barrels, so that's looking pretty cool. And this is the other one just in contrast. You've got the shield generator over there, and a warning that probably says, yes, this is a shield generator. You're going to have these parts here which are risen up front and back. You'll notice that these parts have the lining down below, whereas these ones have the ones up top. Again, it's not quite consistent all over the place. A few lining opportunities, that ugly elbow. But the best part has to be this 91, because if you were impressed with the RXF, and I really was when I saw this in the box, it's even more impressive because this 91 actually has beautiful channels all around it. So if you take your black Gundam lining marker and you go through it, you can really make that 91 pop. It would have been nice if they had done it on both sides. But as we know from the movie F91, that's the key number. So the fact that it comes out and is that bold, well done Bandai, and no effort on the modeler's part. An unexciting beam rifle is pretty much just a couple pieces put together, and you're not going to have any mobility, nothing you can really do. You do have the 3-finger trigger finger split, so hopefully it's going to stay in there, and it's an interesting angle that this part is sitting at. The beam sabers are going to be sadly all white here, top to bottom, which is very disappointing, and you've got something that you don't usually see. Usually you've just got the handle or the grip, and here you're going to have an old school cutlass style cover there, which sort of makes sense, I suppose, from a fighting perspective. But it's going to look a little bit ugly, and here you've got also 2 extra ones, so kudos to them for giving you both of these. And these, you'll notice that they're at an angle, so you plug them into those gray silver parts on the back, and when you do that, you're not going to really see that it's got that ugly handle on it unless you're looking at it from the side. To the backpack though, where you've got similar to the F91, which has a very cool looking one, and the Master Grade just recreated it perfectly. I put in a little bit of red, which is hardly going to show up whatsoever, may as well not have even bothered. You can close these up and they're not going to look particularly good at any angle they sit at unless you do keep them open. Some yellow seals down there, and then you've got the Vespas, which are going to look pretty cool off to the side. They don't have a big range of motion though. You can just see that there's a white part here, 2 parts that snap together, and all you can really do is just bend that down and shoot it forward. You should be able to angle it a little bit. It's on a bit of a ball joint, so you have a bit of side wiggle, and lots of lining opportunities. There's channels all over the place. You're going to have to put in a little bit of effort if you want to make it look good. If you use ink instead of the markers like me, I'm sure you can make it even better, but you do have a little bit of playability in that you can pull out the handles F91 style, and it even has an arrow that says, hey, there's a handle to pull out, and some more red random words. The main reason, though, that I've always liked this Silhouette Gundam is for this simple reason. I think its head looks sharp, and I like the 91 written on the side, but it's got to be its shield that it's its best feature. I've always liked the Gundam shields with the mark on there. It's very, very iconic going back to the 70s. But this one just does it better because it takes the best of the concrete shield, or the physical shield, and it combines it with the best of these. But if you're talking about the playability of the model, it's going to be a little bit disappointing because in many scenes you'll see him just standing with this on, and I think it looks great on the forearm. This is actually a yellow piece of molded plastic, which is fantastic. And then you're going to put a big, ugly black seal on it here, here, and here. So 3 seals are going to make this up, but it's not actually going to look all that bad, even with the light reflecting on it. Some lining opportunities there on the side. This will plug in very nicely to this. The only thing is, if you're thinking of interchanging between having these pink parts on and off, well, you can't really, because they don't just plug in. You've actually got to have a modeler's knife or just not seal it up all that firmly, so that you can take this and then plug in the parts. It doesn't matter which direction, or does it? And when you put the right parts in the right place and then seal that whole thing up, again, this is not going to be something that you'll just be doing on the fly when you're changing your displays. Anyway, it won't be that hard to pop apart though, just because the old plastic is not going to fit all that well together. But there you go, one of my favorite shields in all of Gundam with the pink clear parts above. You've got the lines built into it, and that yellow, black, and white. I think this is a great combination. Here it is mounted to the forearm, where you've got that circular part just that extends and it looks alright. The only thing being that you can expect it to run into problems hitting the shoulders all the time, so you're going to have to keep it rotated back, which isn't going to be terrible, but again, just a flaw in the overall design. And finally, I really like the head of the Silhouette Gundam. I think it's one of the more unique ones we've ever seen for a couple reasons. First, it's just a couple of white pieces that you're going to put together, but you do have the bonus of actually having clear parts there for the eyes, and they're clear green. And they just came on a tiny little plate all by themselves. But something that's interesting about it is you're actually supposed to take a silver seal and put it with the silver adhesive side inside that, which is why you maybe notice that it's reflecting pretty well. The only thing being is that, again, I use that black Gundam marker to go around there, and they do give you raised parts for the eyes. So basically just don't fill the raised parts and you're going to be able to get the eyes to be pulled off. And they're actually going to look pretty good, I'd say. But my favorite part has to be these dashed tick marks off to the side. You've also got good channels here if you want to put the marks on the face paint. The goatee is actually going to be provided by Bandai by the fact that they injected the red into it. But where I am going to be disappointed is with the V-fin, because you have white and yellow, and this is both injected on the A-plate. The only thing being is that the camera lens is not going to fit into the groove that they give you. This is one sticker, and you've got the ugliest red sticker I've ever seen for a jewel up there on a Gundam. So of course you should just paint that up if you want to do this right. It doesn't look terrible if you look at it straight on, just not so great from the side. And you never really notice this depending what angle you're looking at it, but the V-fin is not one piece. These yellow parts are actually behind it, and they're built into the head, and they're made out of very small plastic. It looks great from the front, and it looks great from the side, so overall I'm pretty happy with it, despite the fact that you're going to have to do some work to fix that up and deal with the eyes. Anyway, this kit was a lot of fun to put together just to see some of the great old features like these injected parts from the A-plate there, and the way that they deal with the eyes, and just there's some really interesting things and of course some really poor things that you're going to have to fix up if you want to make it look great. And if you hate seals, you'd hate this kit, but for me it sort of brings this guy alive and makes him quite colorful and cartoony. Very fitting for a manga, I figured. Anyway, everybody, Robert184, Gundam.tk, thanks for checking this out. Stay tuned for the next part, because finally the Silhouette Gundam is going to be put together, and you'll see more than its silhouette. Thanks for watching, everybody. Please let me know what you think with a comment down below. Bye. Yes, the doctor is in the house.